Hello YouTubers! Ito na naman ang inyong favorite tito, ang inyong Tito-riAL for the part 2 of our productivity tutorial. Okay? Natapos na tayo dun sa preliminary natin ng productivity. So I would like to continue now with the part 2 of productivity, which is productivity measurement. So, without further ado, tara na! And so, yun na nga, we will now continue with our productivity tutorial, yung part 2 ng ating productivity, which is productivity measurement. Okay? Now, let's go with your favorite part is productivity measurement. So, measurement, again, formula for productivity. As stated earlier, productivity is output divided by the input. Now, pag sinabi natin total productivity, i-add natin lahat ng ating output, we call it total output, over our total input. Lahat ng ginamit natin to produce the output. Okay? That is total productivity. Now, pwede rin kasi we go to a more specific. Alamin natin how productive is our labor, like your total output divided by your labor hours. And that is what we call now as a single factor or partial productivity. Tinitignan lang natin yung isang factor ng production natin. Tinitignan lang natin isang factor ng input natin and how it is related with our output. So example of which is the labor hours. So, total output over labor hours. Iibahin lang natin. Notice, guys, that iniiba lang natin dito yung denominator. Okay? You have your total output over your capital or your total output over the electricity bill. Pwedeng ganon. Or we could use a multi-factor productivity. Sorry. On this case, disregard this. It is not partial productivity, okay? Sorry. Si Tito-riAL na nagsasorry, ha? So, multi-factor productivity. So, it is total output over 2 or more inputs. Pwede naman natin pagsama-samahin yung inputs natin. So, examples of which is your total output, pwede natin isama ang salary and miscellaneous expense. Or yung total output, pwede yung materials natin, yung utility natin, plus yung research and development. So you could have two or more inputs. Now, pwede rin naman na miscellaneous and labor hours. Pwede naman na research and development and capital ang pagsamahin natin. Okay? So, that is multifactor. Kaya, pag pinagsama mo lahat ng inputs mo over your total output, that is now what we call as total productivity. Okay? Now, let's try to have an example of this one. Let's start with a single factor or partial productivity. Now, in this case, we will try to get the productivity or the relation of labor hours over the output. Pag sinabi natin labor hours, ilan ang oras na ginugol para makapag-produce ng ganitong karaming output. Example, yung isang company daw ay kaya mag-produce ng 15,000 of outputs. 15,000, let's say, laptop, halimbawa, sa isang araw. At ang gumagawa sa kanya ay 4 na workers working at 8 hours a day. So, may 4 na trabahador na gumagawa ng 8 hours each para makapag-produce ng 15,000. So, again, in this case, ang gagamitin natin is total output over the labor hours. Yan. So, you have 15,000. This is your total output. Yan. And then, you have 4 workers. Yon. Since ang kukunin natin na input is labor hours, kukunin natin yung 8 hours a day. So, i-multiply natin. Remember na each of the workers work for 8 hours a day. para makapag-produce ng 15,000 na laptop. So, we have to multiply 4 times 8. Okay? Para makuha natin na yung 32 total labor hours para makapag-produce ng 15,000. Kasi each of the manpower that you have is working 8 hours para makapag-produce ng 15,000 na laptop. Kaya kailangan natin i-multiply na 4 times 8 para makuha natin total labor hours. So with that, we know that our output is 468.75 output per labor hour. So per 1 hour of labor, kaya nilang mag-produce ng 468.75 laptops. Ang pangit naman kung may 0.75 na laptops, diba? Baka mamaya, almost buo yung laptop, walang screen o kaya walang keyboard kung 0.75. So, pwede na natin sabihin na at around between 468 to 469 laptops per labor hours. So, alam natin kung gaano ngayon ka-productive ang ating workers in terms of on how they spend their working hours. Okay? Okay, next example naman tayo. Another example for a single factor or partial productivity. Now, in this case, we will try now to measure yung productivity ng ating electricity. Okay? Okay. Example, a company is able to produce 15,000 of outputs a day for 8 hours with a total of 650 kilowatts per hour. Okay, remember, na ang aim natin is makuha yung productivity ng ating electricity. Now, tingnan natin. So, yung total output over our electricity. So, you have 15,000. And then, since meron tayong 8 hours na gumagawa o yung production process natin is 8 hours, and meron tayong 650 kilowatts an hour. So, meron tayo ditong 650. So, para makuha natin yung total electricity natin for 8 hours, so 8 times 650. Pero, guys, important note, pag ang nasa problem naman natin is nakalagay na yung total na ng electricity natin for a day or for a month, yun na yung kukunin. Pero in this case kasi, yung example kasi natin is nakaimay. So, we need to multiply it. So, we will have 8 times 650 is 5,200. So, yung total output natin ng 15,000 over 5,200 kilowatts in an 8 hour. 8 hours. In 8 hours, sorry. So, that would have 2.88 output per kilowatt hour. Now, like our example, so it is between 2 to 3 laptops in an hour ang productivity ng ating electricity. Okay, so that's it for partial productivity. Now, let's proceed with an example of a multi-factor productivity. As I've said, sorry for this one, guys. Tanggalin natin yung partial dito. Multi-factor productivity. Now, so, the formula is, again, total output over 2 or more inputs. Okay, let's try to use this formula. Total output over salary plus miscellaneous expense. Okay, example. Again, the company is able to produce 15,000 from 4 workers working at 8 hours for 450 pesos a day. Miscellaneous expense is estimated at 500 a day. So we don't have to multiply yung miscellaneous kasi on our example, sinabi na kagad in a day. Okay. Now, Again, our formula, total output over salary plus miscellaneous. So, you have our output here na meron tayong 15,000. Tapos, since meron tayong 4 workers na nagtatrabaho ng 8 hours, hindi na natin kailangan i-multiply per hour. Ang kailangan lang natin is the salary. So, meron tayong 450 pesos daw ang isang araw ng isang worker. So, yun ang gagamitin natin dito. Okay? So, 4 times 450. And then, your miscellaneous expense is this one. This 500. Now, 4 times 450 is 1,800 plus our miscellaneous of 500. Now, we will have 1,800 plus 500 is 2,300. Now, let's divide now our output, our 15,000 outputs over our salary plus miscellaneous expense, which is 2,300. So, 15,000 divided by 2,300 is 6.52 output per peso. Okay? So, sa piso daw, na both salary and miscellaneous would be able to produce between 6 to 7 output. Okay? Yes, guys? Okay, good. Another example for a multi-factor productivity. Again, hindi siya partial, multi-factor siya. Okay? Now, this time, we will use 3 inputs, which are materials, utilities, and research and development. So, again, the same company that produces 15,000 of outputs for an 8 hours of work have 35,000 worth of raw materials in a day. So, ibig sabihin, 35,000 worth ng raw materials nila yung ginagamit para makapag-produce ng 15,000 outputs. Now, the utility expense for this particular company is 0.286 peso per kilowatt hour. Okay? So, sa loob ng kada kilowatt hour niya, merong 0.286. Now, ilan ba yung kilowatt hour niya or kinokonsumong electricity per hour? So, that would be 650 kilowatt an hour. Now, the budget for research and development is at 500 pesos per day. Again, the formula. So, this time, materials, utility, and research and development. Pero guys, I would like to emphasize that we could use different inputs for this one. Okay? You just have to know whether or what are the inputs or ano-ano yung mga inputs na gagamitin nyo for the productivity formula. So, ano yung mga susukatin natin in relationship with the number of outputs na meron tayo. Okay? Now, you have 15,000 total outputs. Then 35,000 worth of raw materials. These are your raw materials. Yung utilities natin na 0.286 peso per hour at yung total na consumption natin ng kilowatt an hour is 650. And then, since ginagamit natin yung kuryente, halimbawa, o yung utilities ng 8 hours. Tapos, yung budget natin for R&D is 500 pesos. Okay? Now, following the rule of the MDAS. Familiar tayo sa MDAS. Multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So, uunahin muna natin i-solve itong nasa parenthesis. Okay? So, 0.286 times 650. Once you get that, i-multiply nyo naman sa 8. So, you could try this one out. Okay? Now, you will get 1,487.20 pesos. Next is to add 35,500 dito sa 1,487.20. So, you will get 15,000 times 36,987.20. Divide natin siya, you would have now 0.41 output per peso. Now, notice na habang lumalaki yung value ng input natin, lumiliit yung ratio natin. Okay? Which is exactly tama naman. Now, another tip is when you are calculating for a multi-factor productivity and total productivity, convert your input into money value. Okay? Hindi katulad yan ng single factor, since sa single factor productivity, halimbawa, labor hours, alam mo na, kailangan mo lang yung value ng productivity mo per labor hour. Okay? Now, in this case, pagka you are trying to consider na yung ibang mga bagay na inputs or pinagsasama-sama mo na inputs, ang common kasi sa kanila is the money value. So, don't forget to convert your inputs into money value when using multi-factor and total productivity. Okay? Okay, let's try to continue now continue with total productivity. Sa total productivity natin, which we use total output and then over total input. So, pag sasama-samahin na natin yung mga input. Okay? Now, again, a company, the same company that produces 15,000 of outputs at that 8 hours a day work with the following inputs. You have 1,800 for the salary, 35,000 raw materials, utility expense is at 1,487.20. Your R&D budget or research and development budget is 500. Communication budget is 500. Transportation 150 and miscellaneous expense at 500 pesos. Okay. So, pinagsama-sama na natin yung mga input na nandito. So, you have 1,800 salary, 35 raw materials, you have utility expense, 1,487.20, R&D, communication, transpo, and miscellaneous expense. So, i-add na lang natin lahat yan. Okay? With the total of 39,937.20. Pero guys, you could check this one out. I would encourage you to compute this for yourself. Okay? And I would appreciate it, lalo na if you comment on this channel if there is something wrong with my presentation and my fellow educators rather, please help me out in pointing out if meron akong mga mistakes over my presentation. Okay? I would glad to hear from you. Okay. So, 15,000 over 39,937.20, you have 0.38 output per peso productivity. Okay? And that is your total productivity on our example company. Now, we'll learn how to compute for the productivity. Now, this time, we will use comparative productivity or pwede rin natin sabihin na comparative growth. This one is you try to compute and then you try to analyze the situation. Okay? As future managers, doon tayo papasok. Doon kayo papasok on the analysis part. You may have an employee who's good at it na pwede mag-compute para sa'yo, but a manager must know how to interpret and evaluate the number to make the necessary decision. Okay? So, let's try to do this example. Since most sa inyo ay estudyante, gagawin ko munang example estudyante, okay? There were two groups of students working on a business plan. So, isang business plan. May dalawang grupo ng estudyante, each gumagawa ng business plan nila, kanya-kanyang business plan. Now, yung group A, meron silang 4 members at natapos nila yung business plan nila in 200 hours. While yung group B have 6 members, pero nagawa nila yung, or natapos nila yung business plan nila in just 150 hours. So, who is more productive between the two groups and by how much? Okay? Now, check natin. Let's try to compare. Now, let's try now to compare both groups in terms of number of students. Now, since ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is isang business plan lang, yung kabuoang business plan. You have your total output of 1. Since Group A has 4 members, so alam na natin na they have 0.25 output per student or 25% per student. Okay? While Group B, their output is 1 business plan, but they have more members. They have 6 members in a group. So, each member contributed 17% sa business plan or 0.17 or 17% yung contribution per student sa business plan. Now, sino ang mas productive sa kanila? Now, based from the figures, hindi natin alam paano nila ginawa ang business plan. Okay? Huwag na tayong mag-delve doon. Okay? Tingnan na lang natin yung figures. 25 per student as against 17 per student. Now, we could say now that Group A is more productive than Group B. Okay? So, that is how you try to compare them. Now, another example. Okay. The same group of students. Now, let's try to look at the hours spent in finishing the business plan. So, Group A consumed 200 hours in the business plan. Okay? So, 1 over 200 is 0.005 or 0.5%. That is not 50%, guys. Notice that it is 0.5%. So, converting decimal into percent, di ba, i-move lang natin to going to the right. So, nandito yung decimal point before the 5. So, it is 0.5% output per hour. So, wala pang 1% yung output nila. Now, Group B was able to finish it at 150 hours. So, check natin. So, Group B has an output of 0.67% per hour. So, who is more productive between the two groups in terms of labor hours? We could say that Group B now is more productive in terms of labor hour, and Group A is more productive in terms of the number of members. Okay? That is how you try to compare. Pwede din natin sabihin na the reason for this one is that Group A has only 4 members. That is why they were able to finish it at a longer hours, not 200 hours. Now, since Group B has more members, they could finish it at an earlier hour than Group A. So, that's the analyzation part coming into play. Okay? Okay. Another example. A business was able to produce 8 outputs per day for a total cost of 1,040 pesos. So, dito, given na kung ilan yung output, in total output and our total input. Now, the manager is contemplating whether he would invest in a new system that would be able to produce twice the number of outputs in a day. Gusto daw niyang i-increase na by 100% yung output in a day. Okay? But, with the new system, mag-i-increase din yung current cost niya by 400. Madadagdagan daw yung cost ng 400 pesos. Now, the question now is, should the manager invest with the new system? Again, ang aim ng organization is to improve productivity. So, itong manager na to, iniisip na to, will I be more productive if I invest in the new system? Or, hindi na lang ako mag-invest kasi productive naman ako on my current situation. Okay. Now, let's try to compute. Again, meron lang 8 outputs yung organization niya. And then, the total cost is 1,040. So, its current productivity is 0.0076. Convert it into percentage, you have 0.76% output per peso. Okay? Now, with the new system, so ang sabi dito is the new system would be able to produce twice the number of outputs in a day. So, kung 8 yung outputs niya in a day, twice that much, twice of 8 is 16, 8 times 2. And then, would increase the current cost by 400. So, you have 1,040 plus 400. You would have 1,440. So, dumoble yung output niya, pero nag-increase yung cost. Productive pa kaya? Or magiging more productive kaya yung organization ni manager or hindi? Try nyo muna i-compute. Check natin. So, with that, ang output per peso nila, this one is per peso. Sorry, alam kong medyo ang dami kong error for this one. Pagbigyan nyo na ang Tito-riAL nyo, first time. Okay, kung tanda kong to, first time ko pa lang to. Okay, back to the lesson. Their output per peso is 0.0111, or in percentage, that would be 1.11%. So, nag-increase. Naging more productive over a new system. Okay? Now, mag-i-invest ba ako dun sa new system? Tignan muna natin yung difference. Ang sabi, sa new system, 1.11 yung sa new system, ang old system is 0.76. Di ba? So, ang difference niyan, para malaman natin ilan yung in-increase, is 0.35. So, 0.35 lang yan, sir. Pag yan pre-set natin sa board, baka mamaya sabihin yan, or mag-disapprove yan dahil ang late, 0.35 lang, wala pang isang product yan. Kaliit-liit. Baka tayo yan, ma-disapprove. Yan. After mong mag-CR ng 45 minutes, babalik ka dito, magtatanong ka, questioning mo kung bakit 0.35. At baka ma-disapprove ng board yung proposal ni manager. Oo, maliit yung 0.35. Percentage yung pinag-uusapan nito, maliit yung 0.35 na yan. Ngayon, if I am the manager, at gusto ko mag-improve yung productivity, paano ko ngayon i-present sa board yan nang ma-approve? Ito ang style dyan. Students, pwede nyo gamitin itong style na to. 0.35 is little, yes. Liit yan. Now, kung titignan ko ngayon, I will use this 0.35. Yan. And then, itong baseline na 0.76. Remember, ito, 1.111 and 0.76 are in terms of percent. Ang kinuha lang natin dito is yung difference ng 1.11 sa 0.76. So, you would have 0.35%. So, nag-increase ng 0.35% lang daw. Okay? Now, pag pinakita ko to sa board, medyo maliit. Pataasin natin ng konti. Tingnan natin. Yung 0.35 is a baseline of gagawin natin baseline yung 0.76 and then yung 35. We would get a whooping 0.46. Okay? 0.46 yung difference yan. Pwede ko ngayon sabihin sa board, there is a 46% increase in productivity higher than 0.35. Okay? So, ang ginawa ko dito, ilan yung percentage na increase ng percent? Gets? So, 46%. So, yung difference between 1.11 and 0.76 na yung increase sa 0.35 is an increase of what percentage ng 0.76? So, that would be 46 or 0.46 or 46% increase. Gets? Fellow educators, if I am wrong about this one, please let me know by the comments. I would like to improve myself. I welcome creative criticism. Huwag lang yung negahan, hindi tayo nega. Mga tropang Pangli, na katulad ko nung estudyante ako, we chill, pero ayaw natin ng nega. Okay? And so that's about it for productivity. A prequel to tutorial number 1. After this one, wait for baka i-re-upload ko or i-gawin ko ng public yung tutorial 1 ko, which is the PERT CPM. So stay tuned for that one. So again guys, that's it for our tutorial for productivity and productivity measurement. Now, if you're satisfied with my the way I do things with my tutorial, please don't forget to like this channel and also subscribe to this channel, guys. And then make sure to share this content so that others may also benefit. Okay? So, para naman may pasa natin sa iba at baka makatulong. So, ang aim lang natin dito is makatulong. Aim lang ng Tito-riAL nyo is makatulong din. Okay? Now, in order for me to be more effective, para makatulong din sa iba, please comment down below, comment on my channel on what tutorial should I do next. Okay? Recommend a tutorial that I should do next. If there are some mistakes that I did on this tutorial, please let me know by commenting on this particular video. So again guys, hope to see you next time. Stay safe. Chill lang. Okay?
Iskul Bukol